Hey everyone, in today's vlog, this is day 2 of the Wynn $3,500 buy-in 3 million guaranteed championship event. This is their main event for their March series. Pretty big series overall, lots of 1Ks to 3Ks. I want to say a couple 10Ks as well. So pretty big series. But most of the tournaments that I played this series were all 1 to 3Ks. Definitely a really fun series overall. I guess this buy-in is technically it's a 3,500, not a 3K, but same thing. Anyways, in this hand history, I am in day 2 of this tournament, and it is a third level day 2, which most tournaments at this point we would be in the money, but in this tournament it is a very, very, very slow structure. We have 90-minute levels on day 2. We had 1-hour levels on day 1. We are not going to hit the money until day 3, so we are a ways from the money in this tournament. It is big blind 4,000, and I am dealt the ace of spades and the jack of diamonds in mid position 2 off of a 108K stack. So I have about 27 big blinds here. In this hand history, Zachary Donovan, very, very, very long time professional. He has a 500K stack in early position, and he raises to 9,000. And it folds to me in mid position 2. So when he's raising off of this 125 big blind stack, even though he's that deep effective, most of the other stacks are between, I want to say, 35 and 80 big blinds. I think there was maybe one other big stack that had a similar chip stack to him, but average stack in this tournament was probably around 50 big. So most of the players in this on our table are going to be around that. So when we're considering what his opening range is going to look like, we're going to base it around average stack at the table. So I assume his opening range is going to be pretty similar to the 17% here. I'd expect him to be pretty in line with it. I wouldn't expect him to get too out of line going either way. Wouldn't expect him to be much tighter than this or much looser. So I think this is a pretty good approximation as to what his opening range is here. Now, my response to this is kind of interesting because if we just look at what a theory response is based off of my stack, so if we go to 25 big blinds, we look at mid position 2 versus early position, this is technically my response. However, this also assumes is that he's opening on a 25 big blind stack as well, but he's not. He's opening off of a 100 big blind stack with a bunch of 50 big blind stacks behind. That being said, with my exact hand, as you can see here, we can split our decisions between calling and 3-betting. I mean, I feel as though in this spot, it actually kind of works out the exact same anyways, but a lot of other hands in my range, I get a lot of different options based off the fact that he's opening off of a deeper stack. He's probably going to be opening a little bit looser. Because of that, I'm probably going to generate a little bit more folds in general. So because of that, all of these like decent looking 3-bet bluff candidates, like King 9 suited, King 10 suited, King Queen off, Ace Jack off, and Ace 10 off. These are all probably going to be very high frequency 3-bet bluffs for me. Even Ace 9 and Ace 8 suited and Ace 5 suited. I'm going to be taking these probably way too aggressively and just 3-betting them at very, very, very high frequencies. So I'm probably over 3-betting here, but I doubt he's going to be that aware of it. So with my Ace Jack off, as I just said, I'm going to be over 3-betting here. So this for me is a very, very easy 3-bet. So he opened to 9K. A typical 3-bet size usually in position is going to be about 3x. But since I'm only 25 big blinds deep effective, well, 27, I actually get to 3-bet a little bit smaller, and it's going to perform the exact same as full 3x is going to perform. So instead, I 3-bet to 25K, folds back to him, and he calls. So in this scenario, when I 3-bet and he calls, the pot size is 60K. I have 83K back in my stack, and the flop is the King of Spades, the 6 of Hearts, and the 6 of Diamonds. Obviously, he's just going to be checking to me here in peer. He doesn't really ever have a reason to lead. I would never expect him to lead ever anyways. So him checking to me doesn't really say anything at all about what he has. And I would assume that for this spot for me, I mean, this is a very dry board. I'm also at a fairly large range advantage. So because of that, this dry board, range advantage plus in position, I'm just going to be c-betting, and I'm going to be c-betting a quarter pot probably with everything. I don't think I'm going to have any checkbacks ever here. And actually, versus a player of this caliber as well, I'm never going to check back as an exploit either. So I expect this response is pretty much always going to be check, c-bet a quarter pot, and then call or fold. Ooh, it looks like it does have some trappy traps, but the only checkbacks are kings, which makes sense. You know, we block his calls. Pocket queens because they have, they're pretty well protected. They have pretty good showdown, and they protect the rest of our checks. And then we're also going to check back, looks like a smattering of pretty much everything, but largely pocket kings being our main check back, and then pocket queens. So my guess is that this solve just like, it really likes checking back pocket kings and pocket queens, so then it mixes in a ton of other stuff to protect those. I'm just going to c-bet everything a quarter pot. I don't see much of a reason to split here. I think playing it as a full continuation bet is going to be by far the easiest. I also think it's generally going to make me the most money as well. So especially with this ace jack off here, I think I only have an option to continuation bet for a quarter pot or 15K into the 60K pot. I do so, and he calls.
Just a quick note, Ryan missed a massive opportunity here. If he would have bet 14K instead of 15, he would have been left with 69 back. And let's be honest, that's far, far more intimidating than having 68. Really just massive missed opportunity.
It looks like he does get some check raises. He's not check jamming though. He's check raising essentially half effective stacks. It's pretty interesting. This is interesting. I guess it's because his aces want to raise really badly, and then all of his king X all really want to raise. So that's interesting. I just wouldn't expect to see that many check raises here. I would generally expect to see, like I said, I think in game he's not check raising at all. I think he's going to check raise probably pretty close to 0%. Or if it is above 0, maybe it's like 10%. He's probably going to check raise some bluffs and maybe king queen or maybe pocket aces. I definitely would not expect king jack, king 10, or king 9 to ever check raise. So I think that changes his turn range a decent amount. So I'm curious to what theory is going to say here for the turn with my hand, and I'm curious as to whether or not I should actually still do that. Okay, so he calls. So the pot size going into the turn is 90K, and the turn is a 6, a Badoogie 6. I think in general, in game and theory, he's just going to pure check, which he is supposed to. So it's important to note that since in theory world, he is supposed to check raise his king X and his pocket aces pure, it means on the turn in game, his range is actually stronger than what it's supposed to be. Important to keep that in mind based off of what I'm supposed to do in game, in both in theory and in game. So he checks to me. I'm assuming that my ace jack is just like pretty close to a pure bet. The reason being, it doesn't really have good showdown. When I bet flop, I fold out pretty much all the hands that I beat, really. Maybe he has like ace 10 suited exactly. So I'm not in great shape with my exact hand as a showdown. But I block pocket aces, I block pocket jacks, I block king jack. Yeah, I'm definitely concerned about his, his king queen hands, but like I don't think the king X that he has are suited. I think most of the time he's just going to have hands between like pocket deuces and pocket jacks, and pretty much that entire, plus like maybe an ace queen, and that entire range is just going to be absolutely miserable when I barrel. So I think in game my ace jack is going to be a bet, and I also think in theory world it's going to be a bet too. Yeah, if we look at theory, ace jack just loves betting here. I can go quarter pot, or I can jam for 71% pot. Makes sense that I can do both options. But this ace jack here, as you can see, it's such a good bluff candidate. I have no reason to do anything else here. I think this is just like a pretty straightforward hand. But the reason why I noted this hand is in game, on the turn, I only have like I only have 68k back, and the pot size is 90k. So it's a pretty awkward spot. And I feel as though that most people's first inclination here is to check back, hope they drill an ace or a jack. They don't want to risk that extra portion of their stack. Because if I bet here, even betting a quarter pot, you know, I would only leave myself with 40k back on the river, give or take. And that's not very many big blinds. It's only 10 bigs. So let's say he does call turn. What am I doing on the river? Am I checking back and taking, you know, just losing this hand because I'm too worried about him having king? Am I full-throated just going for this and just hoping I can get a fold with my last 45k? Am I going to try to spin up my last 10 big blinds? So I think in spots like this that it's really important to consider what your overall range looks like and just how strong you are here. Yeah, ace-jack is this kind of weak, kind of awkward spot, and his range is stronger than what theory probably says it's supposed to be on the turn. But the thing is we just have all the ace-kings, we have pocket kings, we have pocket aces, we have king-jack and king-10 that we have king-9 suited, we have king-x that can all bet happily for value here. So when we do bet, and he has hands like pocket sevens, pocket eights, pocket nines, pocket tens, pocket jacks, pocket queens even, they're not in that great of shape versus our betting range. And it's actually more likely that I'm going to generate folds when I have the 68k stack than it's, let's say I had 200k. If I had 200k, it's pretty easy for me to barrel here. It's not a big risk for me. So he's probably going to perceive my turn barrel here in this exact spot as being very, very, very strong, and is probably going to make some folds that either he's not really supposed to or are very, very close decisions and could go either way. So I bet 25k into a pot size of 90,000, and he ended up folding. He told me what he folded. He folded a pocket pair. And if you look at all the pocket pairs that he's supposed to have here, all of them are partial folds. Which, if any time in theory something is a partial fold and you're looking at a real world scenario that you're in, it's probably going to be a really good fold candidate. So I think he made a proper fold versus what my range actually looks like, especially considering the fact that, you know, when I'm betting this 25k on the turn, I'm not just betting turn. I'm going to be jamming the river very, very, very often. So this turn, like, calling turn isn't just about calling turn. It's also going to be, you have to be willing to call a river jam on a lot of rivers. And that just kind of sucks no matter how many chips you have. So I think both of us played this hand very properly and very well. And like I said, the main reason I wanted to bring this up is try to be aware of what type of story you're telling others and how strong that can look because of a limited stack depth. Sometimes it can be much easier to run bluffs on these medium stack sizes than it is on deeper stack sizes, even if it can be a little bit scary to do so. Not saying that you should just be, you know, randomly whamming and jamming and just, you know, really going for it, but you should also just be willing to have a little heart, run some bluffs, and try to build up some stacks like that. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and healthy out there. Best of luck at the tables.